Welcome to Marshall Close-Up, presented to you by the Marshall Media Arts Department. I'm Jasper Wiles, and today we have a very special guest with us. We have Miss Rita Dotson. She's the Benton City Mayor and the President of the Kentucky League of Cities. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I've known her
as
for a
well.
while. She's a friend of mine, but more importantly, so what motivated you to become Benton City Mayor?
Well, I was city council person for 8 years, and I just decided that there was some other things maybe I could do as mayor, and the former mayor had said he wasn't going to run again, so I thought it was maybe my time.
So are you originally from Benton, or are you come in?
No, I grew up in Paris, Tennessee, and I moved here when I was 20.
So what did you do before becoming mayor?
Well, I was on Benton City Council. I also owned a tanning salon called Hotspot Tanning. Mm-hmm. And I owned that for about 7 or 8 years. I was also an office manager for a local law firm for 7 years.
So being the mayor of a small town, you did tell me that you were the first female mayor of Benton. What does that mean to you?
I love it, and I hope that I have blazed a path well enough that other females behind me can get elected, because we don't do things better than a man, but we do things differently.
So with this position, you've been able to meet a lot of influential figures in Kentucky's government and politics. Who would you say has been the biggest influence for you over your time as being in government?
In local politics or statewide?
You could do either, statewide or local.
Andy Beshear is a big figure for me. He's a friend, and I've followed. I love how he leads. I love how he's mostly nonpartisan, that he does the same for everybody in the state.
Have you gotten a lot of opportunities to work with Governor Beshear recently with around the area?
Yes, I have.
So you were recently sworn in as the president of the Kentucky League of Cities. What is this position? Like, what is the job description?
My job is traveling around the state, actually around a lot of states, and going to conferences, meeting with other local mayors, seeing how their cities run, what they do, what kind of issues they have, what works for them and what doesn't work for them. So I spend a lot of time on the road with them. And the League of Cities advocates for all the cities in Kentucky. So at the beginning, before the legislative session comes in, we sit down with the entire board. I think it's 65 members on that board, and we set legislative priorities for the year and what we want them to lobby and try to get passed for us as cities.
So what are some of the specific duties of the KLC that you would describe?
KLC or for me?
Or for the KLC in general?
For KLC in general. It's mostly to legislate for the cities, and it's also to educate the elected officials in the cities. So we go to a lot of trainings. When you have a newly elected, say, council member, they have a special summit that you go in and you train and you learn what you can and cannot do as a city council person. It's very valuable training. But they have training on just about anything that you'd need.
So how does this specific position that you've been honored to take, how does that help our city and our community directly?
Well, I can directly advocate for our city and for our needs and what we want to see done as a city and as a group of cities. So it puts me in a position to be right there and be able to advocate for us.
So you have been in this position as mayor since 2015, and over that time, 10 years now, what would you say would be your biggest accomplishment as mayor?
One of the biggest things that I like to think about is being able to network with our people, being able to establish, and Facebook has been a big thing for us, being able to establish communication between us and the citizens and what's going on in the city, and is when we're having a cruise in, or when you have a water main break, or you need to boil your water, or anything like that, a road's closed. I think that's one of the most important things that we've accomplished.
So you mentioned roads closed, and one of the big struggles of the city of Benton is we are below what we consider the water level in this area. We have a lot of houses and a lot of residences, a lot of people, businesses that are below the water level. Mm-hmm. And so two times so far in the year 2025, North Main Street is flooded and become impassable. Does the city have any plans to remedy this problem, or is it an issue for the higher ups, such as the state?
It's an issue for the higher ups, and I have made contact with the Corps of Engineers, asking them to come in and look at, I think our big problem is Clarks River. And what can we do with Clarks River? We as a city can't touch it. We can't do anything. It's a federal program there. But the league or the Corps of Engineers can do something. Will they? I don't know. But I'm going to do my due diligence and do everything I can.
And I'm sure this being out of the city's jurisdiction causes a lot of problems with the average person who, once they want to see change, they want to see something made. And what would you say is the most challenging aspect about stuff that's out of the city's control? A lot of things that are, how would you deal with problems outside of the city's jurisdiction or your control?
It is frustrating, but you just have to reach out to the right agency and talk with them and be sensible and be nice. Being mean or demanding gets you nowhere. And try to come up with something that will help us. The State Highway Department, the Department of Transportation in Reedland are wonderful to work with. I can call on them and they're right there. But there's some things that they can't do either, such as Clarks River. That's out of their jurisdiction as well. So you have to rely on the different agencies.
What would you say is the most challenging aspect of being the mayor?
Probably wanting to help and please everyone, and you can't. You can't do that.
Hardest job in the world.
Yeah, it's the hardest job in the world. But, you want to help somebody with a specific problem, but if it's on their property, there's nothing we can do about it. It has to be off their property for us to be able to address it.
So the U.S. Census states that Benton's population has been growing. The 2000 census stats, it states the population at around 4,000. And that number has grown a lot closer to 5,000 in 2020. And that's about a 12% increase. What do you attribute our constant growth to?
I think the area, the people, the churches, we have a great school system. We're trying to do things in the city that would bring growth, that would make people want to move here. Economic development. I don't know if you've kept up, we're working on a park there, that old Memorial Park on the corner of Main and Mayfield Highway. Mm-hmm. It's in disrepair pretty badly, but we've been working for several years trying to get the funding and come up with a plan. So we're turning it into a first responder park to honor all of our first responders. I think that'll be a big draw for our community, and I think you have to do a lot of things like that to draw people and have a reason for them to want to move here and live here or build a business here.
About the public, I've got a couple of questions that were asked that I got from a couple residents of Benton, mm-hmm. and one of them would be that there's been a lot of talk recently about allowing golf carts and ATVs on Benton streets, similar to Calvert City's policy. What is your opinion on this, and have we gotten any feedback from the community on this?
Okay, as far as golf carts, we follow the state plan. You have to be on certain streets, side streets. They have to be equipped in a certain way. There's a long list of what they have to have on them. We have not put an ordinance in place of our own. Honestly, Calvert City is so different from Benton. They're flat, they're open. We have all these hills, and if you're riding down the street on, say, Main Street on a golf cart, and somebody tops one of those hills, what's going to happen? The side streets are different, but staying off the main highways, and not saying we're even given permission to drive on a side street, but we're following the state ordinance. As far as the ATVs, that will come up in our next council meeting. I've sent all the council the specs and what would have to be done to be able to allow ATVs. A few people that I've talked to thinks that it's not a lot different from a car or a truck because you have maybe even more safety with the row bars. I'm not against it, but I'm actually doing a little more research into it. I want to make sure that it's a good thing and it'll be a safe thing.
So speaking of changes, are there anything you can shed some light on about maybe some changes in Benton's near future, maybe some new additions, or is that very classified? There's not. I do have some people looking at some different things, but they don't allow you to put that public, or they'll back away and won't locate near us.
There's just a few things coming in. There's some things we're looking at in the park. You know, we're looking at being able to put a splash pad in for the kids and some different things like that. But no, there's nothing business-wise that I'd be able to reveal.
So you recently stated that you will not run again in this upcoming election. So who is your advice to whoever may be taking this position on after you?
To be honest, up front, what you want to accomplish when or if you do get into office, work hard out there. When I ran for mayor, I knocked on every door in Benton, every single door, and I asked for their vote. And I think it requires a lot of hard work to be able to get in. I don't know, there may not be but one person running, or there may be 10, so I don't know. As far as getting elected. But I hope they get in there and work really hard and make a lot of improvements that I've left behind maybe.
So is there anything else you'd like to accomplish maybe before your term ends in about the next year?
I want to finish that first responder part, definitely. I have a TAP grant going on the west side of town for sidewalks to make that area walkable out to 5th Street. I'd like to see that finished. I'd like to see some more water and sewer improvements that we've started working on. And there's a water tower out at Southwest 1 at the industrial park. It's a 500,000 gallon tank. We need a 1 million gallon tank to service the area and to service anything that might come into the park that needs more water, more fire protection, that kind of thing. It's about an $8 million tank, so we're looking really hard for the funding for that.
If you could leave a legacy behind, what would you want that legacy to be?
I would like for the people to appreciate the work that we've done, and it's not just me. I have the greatest crew in the world that's working with me. Appreciate the work we've done and the things we've gotten accomplished. We have a long list of accomplishments.
You will certainly leave a great legacy. Thank you so much, Ms. Dotson, for being here with us today, and I hope that our viewers can have a greater understanding of your position, your importance in the community. And as always, thank you for watching Marshall Close Up, presented by the Marshall Media Arts Department. I'm Jasper Wiles, and I'll catch you next time.